everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another video. So in today's video we are going to be doing the interior of the Belle Cottage house. This recently came back to the premium shop, I think last week, and it is from a while ago, and I did get it when it originally came out, but I've never actually decorated the interior of it. It didn't really have a solid place in my valley until recently when I created this farm area. I use this as like the farmhouse to go with the barn, so if you haven't seen that video of me creating the farm area, I will link it down below. But I thought, now that I've had this placed in here as like a farmhouse, I thought maybe I should do the interior to match. I was originally going to do the interior of this house as a like movie replica of Belle's actual home in the movie, but I decided now that I've utilized it in this way, we would create it as an actual farmhouse. So let's get started. So to start off with, in the cottage house, in the first room, I wanted to create this really nice family living space. Now, in this house, I wanted to have the idea of this being for a family. So we have like a parents' room, a kids' room, and then something else in the third room, which meant in this first room, I kind of needed to utilize all the different spaces you would have in a home into this one room. So I do include a dining space, a living room kind of cozy area, and also a kitchen. So this was a challenge for me to try and fit it all in one space, but I really liked the idea of it feeling very quaint, very cozy, and quite a small, tight-knit space. So this was a nice little challenge for me. So I started off by putting in all the different furniture I knew I'd probably be using, and it started figuring out what to use in here. Now obviously the general theme in here is very natural, very old school, and I wanted it to feel quite rustic, and I didn't really want to use too many modern things. So majority of the furniture that I do start putting out and going on to use is that kind of cottagecore, more rustic themed item, which you know I love if you've seen my other builds. But I felt like in here for a farmhouse it just made sense that it was on the more sort of lower scale side and just felt very homely and warm and gave off that really nice family home vibe. In this room, I went in with the rustic tavern flooring. I just felt like this made complete sense in here to give it that really nice old school look. I do go in later and change the wallpaper. I don't know why I didn't do it at the start. And then I started figuring out how I wanted to do the layout of the room, and I actually decided to kind of divide it into 4 corners, which meant that I could then utilize the furniture and figure out where everything was going to be placed a lot easier. So as you can see in the back left corner, I have used it as the kitchen space, and I have used the frozen bundle from the premium shop. I always use this if I'm ever doing something that's a bit more old school and a bit more rustic. I absolutely love this kitchen set, and I've definitely got my money's worth with it. So if you haven't got it yet, I would highly recommend it if it does come back to the premium shop. In the right hand side corner, I placed in a dining table. I used the Encanto one, and in the other bottom right corner, I made this little living room space with a really old school retro TV and a really nice cozy fireplace. And then in the other corner, I just did a little entranceway table, and I go on to add some decorations to this and make it feel like an actual family lives here by including like a telephone and a sort of pile of mail and things like that, and started just tweaking the smaller bits of furniture I wanted to use in here to finish up the layout of this room. Once this room was complete, I headed into the right hand side room, which I decided was going to be like the parents' bedroom. Now obviously I wanted to continue the theme in here of it feeling very like dark and cozy, and using a lot of like the dark flooring and stuff like that. I did change it up slightly to how the original room looks, just so it feels a little bit different. And once I'd done that, I went in and started again placing in the furniture I knew I wanted to use. As this was a parents' room, I wanted to again give it that really nice kind of cozy small room look, as I did with the original room. room, so I do include a couple of areas in here that are kind of like little spots for each parent to hang out, and you'll kind of see as I go on, I kind of create their own little personality with the spots I include in this room. But there is going to be a lot of furniture in here, as I wanted to really make it feel very lived in, and as though the people who lived here actually were utilizing the room, and again, just keep it very on theme. Once I placed in majority of the furniture, I started figuring out the layout of it, and as you can see on this back wall, I created this really cute setup with 2 of the bookshelves and some of the really nice ratatouille windows that have got this gorgeous like green vine plant kind of going around it, and some of the bellflower vines across the top. And then I used the woolly pallet bed to be this really nice kind of like standalone piece. I just felt like this back wall kind of, you saw it as soon as you came in, and it just looked really, really cozy and really warm. And then I started figuring out the rest of the furniture in here to kind of again create set up spots for the different furniture. So as you can see, I include a piano and a guitar and a little desk space on one side, and on the opposite side I put in like a dresser and a mirror, and then another little art space with an easel and a little sewing machine to be kind of a creative space for someone else to kind of hang out, and finished it off by adding a couple of paintings in and making sure everything was kind of tweaked how I wanted it to be. Now the next room we head into is the left hand side room. Now this is going to be like the kids' bedroom. I really wanted to include a kids' room in here because I felt like it just made sense for it being like a family farm home, and I hadn't really done a kids' room in many of my builds recently, so I felt like this was a nice opportunity to use some of the furniture that we had that was good for like a kids' space. I didn't want to go too much in the terms of like really bright colors, really over the top kids' room as I'd done previously. I wanted to go for more of like an actual lived in natural room that still fit in with the farmhouse vibes and still felt like it matched the rest of the house, but obviously had lots of furniture and elements to it that made it really feel like a kid lived here. So I started off with kind of more of the natural furniture. I went for a similar wallpaper and floor combo, but just gave it a slightly brighter look to it to make it feel like it would make more sense for a kid to be in here. And then I started adding in a bunch of furniture. Some of it was very rustic and fit with the general theme of the house, and then some of it was obviously a lot more kid orientated, as you see as we go on. Once I placed in all the furniture, I started obviously rearranging everything. Now, in here I did want the walls to feel quite full and busy in this room because it made sense for a kid to have like posters on the walls, and I also used the maps that we recently got from the event we had, and I love using these in a kid's space. I just think they look so cool in here. And then I started figuring out where to place all the other furniture. I used the little Monsters Inc. book nook to make the room feel a little bit bigger and as though they had a bit more space, and also used a bunch of messy clutter items to kind of clutter up the floor and make it look really lived in. Before I went in and created a little rug to go in here, I just used a little leaf pattern with a nice green colour to fit the farm vibe. Now after that I moved on to the final back room, which actually I decided was going to be a little bit of a different one, but I wanted this to feel like a garage space or like a storage space for this house, and I wanted to create a seed room or like a farming room. Now I was going to do this in the barn itself, that was my original idea, but as I have the barn turned around you can't actually access it, and so I decided it was kind of pointless decorating the inside of it for now. So I thought I would put the idea I put one of the rooms in the actual farmhouse that I'm doing today. So I went in and created this seed room. Now in here I put in some windows and I put in a lot of the different locker cabinets from the Wally collection. I just felt like these looked really rustic and as though there would be stuff in these actual cabinets stored in here. I also included a couple of different wall decorations and some posts in the corners to make it feel really rustic like the rest of the home. So this is the final build. We will start off in the main room now. As you can see, we've got the 4 divided corners. We've got the kitchen on the left, which obviously is a very small, quaint kitchen, but it's got lots of decoration on it, like some mugs and teacups, things like that. In the right hand side of that, we've got a nice dining table for people to sit and hang out. I love this Encanto table. It looks really, really retro and just looked a bit more natural. In the other corner, we obviously have our little seating areas. There's only 3 people living in here, then we didn't really need too much space. So I used an old school TV and fireplace to really warm it up. And then in the final corner we obviously have our entranceway table and a little china cabinet to kind of wrap this room up and make it feel really cozy and give it that really lived in look. As we head into the right hand side room, this is obviously our parents' bedroom. Again, in here it's got that nice dark wood theme, and the kind of back wall when you first come in with the pallet bed and the bookshelves just draws your attention straight away. I really love how it looks. The little windows with the vines on fit the farm vibe. And then we have our different sections that the different parents would kind of hang out in. So we've got one that's a very crafty area with the sewing table and the easel. I wanted this to really feel like someone who loves arts and crafts would be using. And then in the opposite side corner we've just got a really simple desk with just a book and a quill on it to seem like someone would sit here and read or write or plan things out. And they've also got some musical instruments in here to kind of extend to other interests and things like that. I just feel like this would be a really nice space for the adults to hang out and would be a nice relaxing time away from being on the farm all day. Heading out there, we head into our left hand side room, which is obviously the kids' bedroom. This is probably my favourite room in the whole house. I love how it turned out. We've obviously got the really nice rustic feel like the rest of the home with the dark wood, but we've got like the Bonnie's toy set in the corner. We've got some of the Monsters Inc. plushies, as well as this really cute desk space where they can sit and hang out and do all the things they want to do. I included a lot of posters and different decorations on the walls, and the bookshelves with the books kind of flailed across the floor, and the big piles of socks dotted around the room to really feel like a kid does live here. And it's a little bit messy and a little bit cluttered, and then we have obviously the nice green features to match the walls. And the final room is obviously our seed room. As you can see, I've now gone in and placed loads of bags of seeds all across this. This is a nice storage area that I know I can come into and grab these rather than going to Goofy's store, but I just love the idea of it and the look of it, that the people who live in this farmhouse would use these to go and restock the farm. I did include some little things in the corners like a pile of hay and some barrels and tools and stuff to make it just fit better and fill this kind of space and really make it look like they actually use this and access everything in here. So here are some shots of the final house. As you can see, I really did love using the dark wood themes in here. I know I tend to do that quite often, but in a farmhouse it just made sense to me. I'm not the kind of person that tends to go for modern looks. I am going to try and do some in the future, but for this one in particular I just felt like a modern vibe would not work in here for me, and I really wanted to go for that really nice rustic look. So I loved creating all these rooms. As I said, I think the kids' bedroom actually turned out as my favourite, that one or the main living space, because it's just something I'm not really used to doing, and I feel like it actually worked well, and we had quite a lot of furniture that worked well in here. And obviously the seed storage room is great to be able to actually be used when I'm running about the valley, and I can access things in there as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and you like the look of the house. As I said, I was going to do this as like a movie accurate home, but after using it as a farmhouse in my farm build, I decided it made complete sense to do the inside to mimic this. And as you guys know, I am currently going through all my premium shop houses and doing the interiors of a bunch of them. So if there's any you want to see in particular, do let me know down below. I do have a list of all the ones that need to be done, and the ones that people have already mentioned they want to see have kind of been like prioritized at the top, so they will be coming at some point. It's just going to take me some time to get through them all, but hopefully we will make our way through them before we get any more premium shop houses and an update and things like that. But we shall see. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for all the support on the channel. It means so much to me, and we're getting closer and closer to 1.9k, which is just crazy to me. But any support in getting there, and then maybe eventually to 2k, would be very appreciated. I hope you all have the best week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.